Hi everyone, I was looking for something different to do with pork. Came across this recipe. You're going to like this one. A little bit of work, but the results are well worth it. This is bacon wrapped stuffed pork loin with a dipping sauce on the side. It's very yummy. I'm going to make this one again because it was so much fun. Let's get to it, get our stuff together, and get going. Our main ingredient is the pork loin. So I've got 6 pork loins, the thick kind you get at Costco. We're going to cut them in half and make 12 pieces because there's about 6 of us are going to be eating. So I want to make sure there's enough. Our first order of the day is get a sharp knife. And we're going to take each of these pork loins and ever so carefully slice them down the middle. So you just butterfly it and you cut it off. Just like that. And now after the first one, I didn't like the way the pan was moving around. And I really don't want to cut myself. So after that, we went to a cutting board. Did the same thing. Try to cut them as evenly as possible. And there you go. Once we get all 12 done, we'll just set them aside. Now, time to make the dipping sauce. So I'll get a bowl out and a container because we are traveling with it. So we're going to dump the dipping sauce into the container. The first ingredient we need is some plain Greek yogurt. And for whatever reason, I'm actually measuring it because we need a cup. So as I carefully measure, you know what, it doesn't really matter. You put a cup and a quarter, I don't think anybody would notice the difference. So it is a bit flexible. Now we need 2 teaspoons of mustard, any kind you want really, mine's just regular. 2 1/2 tablespoons of ketchup. That wasn't so hard to do. A good teaspoon of garlic powder. Half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Yeah, put in more if you want. And a teaspoon of paprika once I can get it out of the bottle. The last thing is 2 small dill pickles chopped up. I didn't have the pickles, and unfortunately I didn't really have the dill pickle relish. I only had maybe a teaspoonful. So I decided at the last second I'm going to throw in some dill, about a half a teaspoon of dried dill. Mix her all up. Give her a taste. I'd say that's some good sauce. And we'll package it all up. Put the lid on, and this is going to go in the fridge till we need it. You want it to sit for, give it a good half an hour in the fridge. So you don't really want to make it at the last second, but that's up to you. Next up, mushrooms. Not that many mushrooms, that many mushrooms. And we're just going to chop them up, slice them up. Nothing real fancy. Although if I really wanted to, I could have really fine diced them. This will do just fine. And while I was doing the mushrooms, my daughter did the onion. That's a half a large onion, nice fine dice. She's very good at that. Thank you, Abby. But wait, we still need more onions. Not to go in the dish, to hold up the bacon, you'll see. So I've cut both ends off the onion, and we're going to try and make thick slices of onion rings. So let's see as we push one out there, and I ripped the first one. So just so you know, make extra rings like that one. That looks better. Make extra rings just in case you start ripping them, because you can always use them in another dish, and all the leftovers, that's what I'll end up doing. So I need 12 of these rings. I think I'm going to try and get a whole bunch kind of like that. I got 2 or 3 extra just in case, and the rest, well, they're just going to go in my container for whatever the next dish that needs onions is for. Into our frying pan, a little bit of oil. In go all those onions. Oh yeah. That looks good right there. We'll just give it a quick mix. And then we're dumping in the mushrooms. Look at that. All right. We'll give this a little mix them both together, and let them cook down. Over to our cutting board, some plastic wrap and 2 pork loins. We're going to pound them down. But I'm already not liking the plastic. You know how plastic can get. I'm thinking I may have to do a better plan. So we pound them down. I'm not so sure how well they pound down. I'm not the greatest at pounding down meat. You want it thin so it's, flexible in that. Then I decided, well, why don't I just go to a freezer bag? That works so much better. Back to our onions and mushrooms. They're looking pretty good. I decided to throw in a little bit of diced jalapeno just to give it a little kick. I wish I would have put in double that. Off the stove and into a bowl. So there's our onions. We also have a good cup of grated Parmesan cheese and bacon. Oh yeah, bacon. 2 strips per, so that means I need 24 slices there. Here's our pork. Let's put it together. So our first step is for each one, the bacon goes in an X pattern, 2 pieces. Our pork loin and 1 tablespoon of the onion mushroom mix should be enough. So I went and got a spoon. And about the same with the parm. I mean, you can use any kind of cheese you want, or you can do it without if you want. My nephew doesn't like cheese, so I made a couple without him just for him. And there's our onion ring. That's what we're going to use to tie it all together. So the idea is you bring the 2 ends together, then the other 2 sides together, and you're going to make it into a bowl. And then you're going to take your bacon, and this is going to kind of tie it all together. And of course, the first time you do it is awkward as hell. By the time I got to the 12th one, it was a hell of a lot easier. So there's our pieces. They go through the onion ring, kind of like that. Looks so smooth. And then we just flop them over. Like that. I guess if I was getting really, really fancy, I would have cut it in a 3/4 strip, and that would have been more than enough to still stuff the pork loin. And there you go. Look at that. Doesn't that look cool? All right, well, it'll look a lot better once we bake it. But that's going to go into a container. And there's my 12th one. Much easier to do after 12. All nice and stuffed and ready to go. So let's get the baking sheet out of the way. And there they are. See, they don't look that great. Wait till they bake up and you see the difference. 350 for about 40 minutes. And when they're done, look at that. Now the only caveat, I had to let them cook another 10 minutes. I think what I would do a little different is take them out of the pan, drain all the grease, and then put them back in for that last 10 minutes. I might even put a little extra cheese on top just because. But there you have it. Now let's get this out of the way and get a plate. And there is our bacon wrapped stuffed pork loin. A little bit of our dipping sauce to go with it. And that is one hell of a good meal. A little bit of work, but oh so good. This would be good for a special occasion, I think. Hey, another great recipe. I hope you'll give it a try. Leave me a comment below, one way or the other. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell because that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. Feel free to share this in any of my other videos. And thanks for stopping by and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.